Today is day 2 of hypnotherapy training. I have some stuff in my face. Lunch break again. I actually just sat down and closed my eyes for a little bit because it's been long days and I've still been fighting a little bit of cold, but I'm excited to hop on, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit about the subconscious mind, which is used synonymously in this case with the unconscious mind. So I think many of us are maybe more familiar with the use of subconscious, which is used quite frequently, but unconscious is more of the academic term or verbiage that we use in training. So I'll be using those synonymously with each other as there's something in my eye, as I go through this and as I share some of the roles that this part of our mind actually plays in our life. So the first is that it stores memories. And so this is often seen in like inner child work, where we hold all these memories of especially the programming that we received between ages 0 to 7 in the subconscious mind. And so these memories that are stored in the sub or unconscious mind can be in relationship to time or not in relationship to time. It can be like a feeling that you remember, or it can be a specific visual memory along your timeline. But that's where they're all stored. And so sometimes we think, I haven't thought of that in a while, or a memory comes up that you thought you forgot, you haven't remembered in a long time. And that's just because it's being stored in the unconscious part of our thoughts. It's not something that we're carrying with us, or else that would be very chaotic for our minds. The second role or part of the sub or unconscious mind is that it makes associations. So it's linking similar things and linking similar ideas, and it learns quickly. So that's really cool, because when we talk about hypnosis specifically, but there's other different modalities that can get you to this state, but what we're doing is we're transcending our critical factor, the part of our conscious mind that is not able to receive the learnings, and we let the learnings that we're trying to absorb, the new thing that we're trying to figure out and attune to, and we let it into the subconscious mind, which is where learning actually takes place. So we make associations. You might experience something new, but you're like, ooh, it's kind of like when blank, or I've kind of experienced this before with this idea, or I've been presented this before in a different but similar way. Your subconscious mind also organizes all of your memories. So not only is it storing the memories, but it's organizing them. And this is related to timeline therapy, another technique that I'm already certified and trained in. But if you think of it literally as this line that stretches out infinitely in both directions of your life, and all of the different moments that you've had every single second in your life, your subconscious is the one that's actually organizing the memories you've had on its little tick point along that timeline. The subconscious also represses memories with any unresolved negative emotion. So this is where we can see, I've talked to clients where they say, I don't remember my childhood. I can't remember anything before age 5. I can't remember anything before age 12. And that's the subconscious mind that is repressing memories that have this unresolved negative emotion, this trauma or this fear or deep embarrassment or a deep anxiety or a stress. That negative emotion can be many things, but the subconscious mind represses it, so it feels like we can't access it, even though it still is there, kind of underneath. The subconscious mind also presents repressed memories for resolution when we're ready. So it's repressing it because it's unresolved negative emotion that, because of survival mechanisms, it doesn't want you to be dealing with all the time. But when it's ready for resolution, then it's going to also be the part of you that brings it back to the surface, so you can actually release emotions, or to make rational sense of it, or to heal it. The subconscious mind may also keep repressed emotions repressed for protections. This is just what I was basically saying before, was if it's like the storehouse of memories, well, it's going to repress to protect you, but it's also going to pull things to the surface for resolution if you're calling it to the surface and you're open to resolution, or it's going to keep it bundled up there to protect you if you don't have a tool to heal it yet. The subconscious mind also helps run the body. So it has a blueprint of, the body and all the different functions of the body, as well as a blueprint for perfect health, which is represented in our higher self. And so this is one of the most important functions of the subconscious, is it's running our body. So it is the thing that is helping with our autonomic nervous system, or the parts of us that are operating without us having to consciously think of it. So that would be when we're breathing, when like I walked home for lunch today and one foot was going in front of the other, and I didn't have to think about walking because my subconscious mind was doing that for me. It's also the part of you that maybe is doing the physical movements to drive home from work every day that you aren't necessarily consciously thinking of, and instead it's more this blueprint of what the body needs to do in order to operate. And then the very most important function of the subconscious is to preserve the body. So this most important of all these different directives, all these different roles of the subconscious, is it maintains the integrity of the body. So we can even see this in panic attacks, where the subconscious is telling the body how to maintain itself. So if you think you're dying, then it's going to just maintain function of the internal organs that are most vital to your health in order to preserve the body. It's our survival mechanism, and it's going to to keep us alive. It's going to maintain the integrity of our body. The subconscious is also the domain of our emotions. So when we allow what's called the critical factor to be porous, to be more permeable, and we allow ourselves to dip into the programming of the subconscious mind, there's the domain of all the different emotions, the different flavor of emotions, the different textures and colors and qualities of emotions that we experience as human beings. And that is the domain, the hub of where those exist. And you can think about this in another way, which is, well, I'm consciously not feeling every single emotion that's available to me at any given time, and instead that is being more stored in the subconscious. The subconscious is also a highly moral being. It is the morality that you were taught and accepted, most likely as a child. And so it's following those morals, following those values. And so then it becomes very interesting to discuss, well, what are your values and what is the order in which you put those values in your life, and how is that affecting your programming? The subconscious, I'm going to go through some of these a little bit faster now. The subconscious also enjoys serving, but it needs clear orders to follow. So it wants to make you happy, but we have to tell it clearly, simply, concisely what to do or how to help us. The subconscious also controls and maintains all perceptions. So this relates to intuition. So if there's a more of like a intuitive perception that we're receiving, like an intuitive download, an intuitive feeling, that's where the subconscious is controlling and maintaining that intuitive connection. But it can also just be like it doesn't have to be an intuitive connection. It can also be, or a perception. It can also just be a regular perception in life. Subconscious also generates, stores, distributes, and transmits energy. So when we start talking about the subconscious mind, there's many modalities to tap into it, but energy healing and energy work is a really powerful one, because that energy itself is generated, stored, distributed, and transmitted through the subconscious mind and subconscious programming. The subconscious mind is also the part of us that maintains instincts and generates habits. So we have this instinct to protect ourselves, or we have an instinct to XYZ. And then we also have habits that we've generated that probably show up pretty regularly in our life. That's what a habit is. So I might have a habit to to close myself off to the world. I might have a habit to pick up my nails. And so the subconscious mind, again, if we have these habits, bad, quote, bad habits that we want to break, well, we can't just say, oh my God, I hate when I pick up my nails, and stop doing it. Sarah, don't ever do that again. Well, you probably tell yourself that every single time you go to pick at your nails. I shouldn't be doing this, so I wish I could stop. But the issue is that's just your conscious mind thinking. You're not actually solving or breaking patterns or habits because you're not going past the critical factor into the subconscious mind to actually create change, because that is where change, learning, knowledge all are, in the subconscious. The subconscious also needs repetition until a habit is installed. And so you can argue that the highly motivated person will absolutely have like one session or one moment where they might be able to create change, but there has to be a high amount of motivation behind wanting to change for that to happen. Most of the time we need repetition until a new habit is going to be installed or is going to be generated and more like locked in, clicked into place, and feel more permanent or feel like our new normal. So we want to be doing subconscious reprogramming and the work that we do with the mind with neuroscience again and again and again to reinforce it. So we can't, go into one energy healing session, for example, or one hypnosis session and think, okay, if this doesn't work today, then that doesn't work, or this is a hoax or whatever. It's like you have to commit to it. You need to be highly motivated, and you might see a change that is that quick, but you may not, and that's okay. But your subconscious needs repetition, and that is why. Okay, I got about 5 more. So the subconscious is also programmed to continually seek more and more. There's always more to discover. And so I think that those of us who feel like we are like these lifelong continuous learners may also feel like we are maybe more easily able to tap into our subconscious, and there's this curiosity, this imagination, this desire to discover and seek more and more and more, and not in a selfish way, just in a, oh my God, I'm so curious, or I want to know, or I want to create this type of way. And so if you're somebody who feels like you're not continuously seeking more and more in a way that is about discovery and curiosity, well, then you maybe have not closed off in a permanent way, but there's room for improvement as far as you connecting to the subconscious mind that is curious and open to ideas and learning and new ways of thinking. The subconscious mind also functions best as a whole integrated unit. It does not need parts. It's not like, okay, this little buzzer or little neural pathway in the subconscious mind is working over here on its own. It's working as a whole integrated unit as one. The subconscious mind is also symbolic. It uses and responds well to symbols. And so we can use or see this used in different therapies because the subconscious mind is symbolic, uses and responds to these symbols to be able to create change. So I use a lot of imagery with my clients one-on-one, and I have them imagine, say, a feeling, and I say, okay, where's that in your body? Now, what is the color of it? What is the shape of it? What is the texture of it? Now we have a symbol for that feeling versus more of an abstract sensation in the body. Now we can work this up with the subconscious mind to start to shift and evolve it. The subconscious mind also takes everything personally. So, when you hear something about yourself, unless we have the tools, say, to let go of what's not ours and keep what is ours, we might take that personally and then even create or form a belief around that is ultimately true, which, if you listened yesterday, I had a short lecture on suggestibility. And if you're highly suggestible and your subconscious mind is taking everything personally, well, there's a huge opportunity to do some reprogramming and see some major shifts in your life when you start to release some of the responsibility and ownership over stuff that was never yours. Subconscious mind also works on the principle of least effort. So that is the pathway of least resistance. Like, let's let this be easy. Let's let this be simple. We don't want to overcomplicate things. It just wants a clear, concise pathway to do its job. And we can see that we're not conscious of it, which is the whole point, but it's going to take the path of least resistance in our subconscious to tell our digestion to work, to put one foot in front of the other, where it's literally so simple and there's no resistance to you putting one foot in front of the other or your food digesting in your belly, because the body's naturally doing it, but also because it's going the least resistant way. Lastly, the subconscious mind does not process negatives directly, and this is really important. If you have a strong affirmation practice, you've probably already heard this, but say you're putting affirmations of, I don't want to ever feel broke again. Well, think of just everything you said you didn't want disappearing, the don't want to, or I never want to, or don't. Whoop, that part is like zipped out of the sentence, and then you push it back together, and your brain, your subconscious mind, is actually just seeing the thing that you don't want. And so that's why some affirmation practices don't work, amongst other reasons, but it can be very powerful, but we want to say it in the positive, because the subconscious mind does not process negatives directly. So super, super important to, when you are trying to shift your thoughts or be a more positive thinker, or just shift your outlook on something, your perception of something, well, think about what you do want. What are you moving towards versus what do you not want? What are you moving away from? And when you start to use language in your mind that is congruent with towards what I do want, then you're going to see better results, because the subconscious mind does not process negatives directly. Okay, that's all. I got to run back to the second half of session today, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this and just learning more little tidbits on the role of the subconscious mind, or like I mentioned in the beginning, the unconscious mind is what we use in more academic terms. So I'll be using those interchangeably. But once you understand all the ways this is affecting your life, I hope that it inspires you to consider some work in that area. And that is something that not all therapies, not all energy healing techniques, not all intuitive readings consider this. And so it is a huge missing link. If you've been trying to do a lot of work on yourself and not seeing results, let's go into the unconscious mind. All right, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.